All right. G'day, mate. What's your name?
My name's Trevor Crook.
Trevor Crook. What do you do, Trevor?
Oh, well, I used to be a stand-up comedian, but I've been forced into retirement.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Crowd Workcast. My name's Andrew Barnett. Thanks so much for joining me. My guest today, Trevor Crook. I've known Trevor for quite a few years now. He is an Australian / English comedian who you wouldn't know is English to hear him talk. You'll hear that. But he used to split his time much more evenly between Australia and England. But nowadays he's more London-based than Sydney-based, unfortunately. But if you are in London, get out and see him whenever you get the chance. If you are in Australia, he will be back soon, hopefully. So yeah, if you get the chance to go see Trev, I cannot recommend it highly enough. He's just an old school good joke writer. All his stuff is just so precise, so good. Yeah, like I said, can't recommend it highly enough. Now, we did have some technical difficulties because Trev is 1,000 years old and we were doing this over the internet. So you'll notice at the back end of this, if you're watching it on YouTube, his video feed dropped out. The sound is still pretty good, so I've just basically put a still picture of Trev in there, so there is something still there. But apologies for that. There's not much I can do about it. It took us a while to get on. Basically, Trevor's partner had to come home and log him onto the internet so we could do this. So it took a while. Thank you, Julia, for doing that. Now, Trev doesn't have any real social media presence, so there's nowhere you can follow him. So I think he's got a website, trevorcrook.com. Have a look at that. But other than that, just keep an eye on lineups. If you ever see his name, if you ever see anything advertising Trev, get along and see him. Hopefully, you'll hear us talk about some old TV spots he did that hopefully we're going to dig up the tapes. We'll get them digitized and get that on the internet for the world to see. Good news is you can still follow me on social media at Andrew Barnett Comedy on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Just yeah, give me a follow and come see my show. I'm doing a Sydney Comedy Festival show, April 27th and 28th at the Wildflower Wine Bar at the Enmore Theatre. I'd love to see you at that. I'm working hard on that, making sure it's going to be full of good new jokes as well as some old classics. So that'll be a real fun show. I'd love to see you along at that if you are in Sydney. So come along. If you're looking for tickets, you can find them at Sydney Comedy Festival's website, or if you give me a follow on Instagram, just go. There's a link to everything in my bio, so you can find it all there. Other than that, that's probably enough waffling. Just enjoy this. This is my show, my episode, I should say, with the great Trevor Crook. You've done this podcast years ago,
Yeah.
but you'd noticed. So we're doing this for anyone just listening. We're doing this over the internet now because you are in London
Yeah.
and I'm here in Sydney. But first thing you noticed when you saw the wall behind me was the brick, and because my old house, you used to refuse to come to.
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah. I didn't refuse. I just made excuses. I didn't have to, so I never. Yeah.
You didn't want to come because it was fibro and you were scared of the asbestos.
Yeah, that's right. I've got an absolute paranoia of asbestos. It's really, I can't go anywhere near a possible site of asbestos.
But surely you grew up so you grew up in Australia,
Yeah.
in like the era you grew up in, nearly every like it was just most common. Fibro was so common.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I probably inhaled, buckets of that shit, but but I keep saying, oh no, maybe my body got rid of it all, or I now check through the old houses. What could have been asbestos, and did I have anything? Was I anywhere near those locations at the time? And I convinced myself I was clean until I came to your place, and I thought, no, I'll definitely get it at Andrews. He's fuck about asbestos, you know. So I thought my health. I'm very health conscious. I got a health anxiety, so It's not just asbestos. It's a lot of things actually, but asbestos is one of the key ones.
Mate, you are health conscious now. You are laid up at the moment
Yeah,
because you've done your knee.
yeah, yeah. I've got this. I don't know what it is. Maybe as I get older, I've got to prove things. Sort of. So I'm at the thing about. I've been running uphill a slight slope. I may have sent you that tape where I'm running like a master up this fucking slope, and that's fine because there's less impact on your knees and I'm on grass. But
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about running on a flat that I'm not really running if I'm not running on the flat. I've got that sort of like if I run for a bus, it's going to be on the flat more
Yeah.
than likely. So, and if I stop running on the flat, that means I can't do it anymore, and that sort of is that a sign of old age or some shit. So I've got this fucking ridiculous formula for trying to not feel old, basically. So running on a flat was one of them. I won't give up. But now I'm thinking, it's not fucking worth it. I've had three bad. Well, running upstairs, I got to fight. What is it? Inflammation in both knees when I was in Edinburgh. We had these really old steps. We were staying at a flat in Edinburgh, for the comedy fest when we had this
Yeah.
flat. And it was like 71 steps up, old steps, really steep, old steps, uneven. And so I used to run up the steps every time I was coming in the door. I'd run up, and then one day I thought, I haven't been in the gym for 2 weeks. I could use the stairs for a workout, so I ran up the stairs 10 times, which is 710 steps. Which
Bloody hell.
I mean, going not. I mean, I'd run up, then walk down and run up. It wasn't like 710 straight.
Yeah, good interval
Uh,
training.
yeah, so I was doing that, and I felt great. You know what I mean? And I did the whole thing, 710 steps, and people were going, fuck, they're flabbergasted. You're going to fucking kill yourself. Nah, I'm feeling good, you know what I mean? And then the next day I felt great. And then the day after that, I couldn't walk because I had this thing in both knees, actually. There's a name for it. Not fibrosis, something fucking, it's, what is it? It's on your bursitis. Yeah.
Beside us, yes.
Yeah. I had
Yeah.
bursitis in both knees. And
Oh,
I couldn't walk at all.
bloody hell.
Like for weeks. I'm talking, I was fucked for 3 weeks.
You you do strike me as that type, like you know what, I'm gonna do the like most of your injuries I think would be you going too hard at a certain point.
Yeah, yeah. I'm very obsessive with my training. It's like it has to be hard or nothing. So I don't feel I'm trained if I'm not completely fucked at the end of it. So I've really got to push. So rather than using a bit of common sense, and at the time you feel great, but you don't worry about the consequences.
Yeah.
And then I just felt great going up the steps, and people were saying, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing that," and damn, fucking all right. And, I should listen to people or listen to fucking a psychiatrist or somebody.
Yeah. Even just adjust instead of, doing those epic runs, do epic walks.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I saw an interesting program once about he was selling running shoes, but he had some interesting things about running, walking, and sprinting. And he said we've evolved for walking because it's like migration thing. Where people walk from Africa to fucking London and beyond. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
he said we've evolved to walk and we've evolved to sprint because you're in danger. There's a wild animal after you. You got to fucking sprint, right? So, but we haven't evolved to jog. So he was against jogging and for the in the respect that it was unnatural that we haven't evolved to jog, but the other two things. So his thing said, as far as training is, you should walk and walk and walk, and occasionally do interval training like a sprint. Yeah, and forget jogging. He said jogging's just bad for your knees, and it's like unnatural. So I thought, and then he sold running shoes, which made me think, fuck it. So there's what is it? Conflict of interest. But no, but it seemed logical. I thought, yeah, that sort of makes sense. So, yeah, no, walking's good.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah. I don't mind it. I've had a few like you at the moment, like days where I'm just like regretting exercise too much, but mostly I'm playing a bit of cricket this year,
yeah,
and on the day I feel great.
yeah.
The next morning I feel horrendous.
Yeah. That's. See, I just accept that I'm going to feel bad. I'm not that shocked when I do feel fucked the next day, but I go, well, the enjoyment I got from training sort of outweighs if I can how I feel the next day,
Yeah.
But I didn't get that much enjoyment out of running 800 meters and then being in bed, with no underpants on. It's the balance is out of whack. You know what I mean? So I've got to listen. I've just got to be a bit more logical and listen to people who say no, run uphill. Because it's less stress on your knees.
Mate, you are, I think, the first guest on this podcast who's doing it sans pants.
So,
So,
what's that? Oh, so that's fantastic. Yeah.
like, you just going the full Winnie the Pooh at the moment, top half only.
Yeah, and I haven't had a shower all day because I can't step into the shower because I'm a knee. So I'm just fucking. The whole thing's disgusting to even think about.
Mate,
Breathing.
so you're in London. I got up early for this. We got over our technical issues,
Yeah, yeah.
and we're done. How what? So you you're Australian, like from your accent, you're very Australian,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you're technically. Were you a 10-pound pop?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, £10 pom. Yeah, and but back then you didn't have to. You didn't. You automatically became a resident. You didn't have to apply for it. So as soon as you stepped foot on Australian soil, you're a resident, right? And before then, you're a citizen. They've gradually taken those things away, so you have to apply for everything now. But back then, I became an automatic resident, but I still had British citizenship, so I can go both places basically.
So do you have both passports or do you just have one?
No, I just have the British. Yeah, I just have the.
Ah,
Yeah.
but you follow Australia in the cricket?
Yeah, with the Ashes on, yeah. But England is my second team. Like when England play India, I go for England. But when England plays Australia, I'm full blown Aussie
Mate,
fanatical.
what are you? You are a cricket tragic. I've said to
Yeah,
I've explained this to a few people that when England or Australia are playing, like especially if they're playing overseas, it's the middle of the night here. I'll often wake up to several emails from you, like
yeah,
the full emotional ride of the innings that
yeah,
you've watched.
yeah. I'm a bit fickle when it comes to support. If they have a bad day, I go, the fucking idiot's hopeless. And Trevor said, I think, a great player. If he fails, he's from Adelaide as well. They go, you fucking hopeless idiots. And, I'm very bitter when
Yes.
my heroes fail. So I need, and straight away, because I sort of email you when I'm really upset. Then later on, I calm down and go, "Oh, that was a bit over the top, fuck it." But
No, I like it. I get to ride your whole emotional roller
yeah, you
coaster
do
when I
it.
wake up. Sometimes too, it's just a one line in the subject line of the email.
Yeah,
Like I go, oh, he's fired up here.
yeah, fucking hopeless, is it? Or hopeless?
Yeah, something like that.
That's
Oh, mate. So did you start comedy? Like, so you split your time. Well, basically, you've been back in England for a while now. When was the
oh
last
yeah,
time you were home, or
19,
you were in Australia?
yeah, 19 months ago.
Wow,
Yeah, fucking long
wow.
time. I, I've settled in. The main thing, I suppose, getting older. When I'm in Australia, I don't feel like going anywhere. When I'm here, I don't feel like going anywhere. It's not so much I don't want to come home. I'm just sort of settled.
Yeah, yeah. So do you because you for a long time you'd spend sort of 6 months in
Yeah,
each.
yeah. I mean, normally I did, and then with all this, the security, and then you've got the COVID bullshit, and so it becomes very, very not very pleasant to fly. They made it. I used to enjoy flying. You could just get on the plane and drink and have a few beers, and now it's a fucking effort. And I was like, oh, I don't really want to go through that. For 22 hours. So it's all the bullshit they've ruined flying. They've ruined it for me anyway, and I don't feel like going anywhere. But we'll try and
Mate,
eh?
do you have any plans to come back to like?
Well, I do. I miss it. I mean, I talk to you now, and I go, oh, yeah, I feel homesick talking to you. I just feel sick generally, but when talking to you, but at the moment, I do get homesick because I do miss it. I forget how good Australia is. You know what I mean? But I've got a good life here. Should take you on a tour one day with my little computer and show you the house and I've got a very comfortable life here. It's great. Got my love. I didn't see Julie for 2 years during lockdown, so
Yeah, that would have been a tough one. So Julia's your partner.
yeah, 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 yeah. What?
Is that her
Not
yelling in the
something.
background?
No, she's very lucky to have me, but she's not convinced yet. Fuck.
I think that's the other way around, Trev.
Yeah.
She does a very good job of looking out for you.
No, she does. I'm her son. I'm like a child to her. I think I'm very childlike.
Yeah, you for you. I don't know. You're very. You've got your quirks, I suppose. Like we all do, though.
Oh yeah, but these are bad. My quirks are fucking psychotic quirks.
Like what? Like explain.
Well, I've got certain things because I've got OCD. I sat for an OCD test years ago and I got 100%. So I'm 100% OCD. 100%. That's fucking unheard of. Even other OCD people go, "Fucking hell, you're really good." You've reached the pinnacle of OCD. So it gives me things about contamination, like with asbestos. But even
Mm.
things generally, if I'm having a very bad day, OCD wise, I don't like touching door handles or that sort of shit. So I tend to open door handles in various ways that I've, done, I've created myself. I used to open with my, not use, I used to open door handles with my elbows and forearms.
You like a surgeon
Yeah,
scrubbing in.
yeah, something like that. I switch lights on and off with my elbows. I never, touch them with my fingertips because I think the contamination thing. You know what I mean? So I've got all these, and I close drawers with my feet. Sometimes I'll kick them shut, and all this sort of shit. If I'm having a bad day, that's what I'll do. That's all
Bloody
part of
hell.
that. Yeah. So Julie's got to put up with that, and observe it, and she
That's
accepts.
the
She accepts it, but
Well, that's the main thing in I think in a relationship. If it's going to last, you need someone who's just going to accept you, like
yeah,
with your quirks, rather than
yeah.
someone who wants to change everything about you.
I think the quirks reach a certain level of insanity where the woman's just going to fuck off. But at the moment, I'm below the borderline. I'm much better than I was. I couldn't eat cooking because Julia touched all the food when she cooked it, and I couldn't actually eat them. I used to buy chicken wraps from Tesco's and fucking eat them in the corner. I mean, it's really quite bizarre.
That is bizarre because someone like even the chicken wraps from Tesco, someone made them. Like they were
Yeah,
touched
that's
as
right.
well.
Yeah, but I can't see them. See, that's the logic has. Well, I mean, OCD has. I did say I keep calling it OCDC, which is the name of the band, isn't it? I'm obsessed with rock music. No, it's the OCD person. See, I know people in restaurants touch the food, but I can't see them preparing the food, so out of sight, out of mind. But I actually see Julia cooking, and I see her claws all over the food. Then and then
Claws.
because I've seen it, that imprints itself on my mind. So that's what I mean. It's forever playing games. When you've got OCD, it's forever playing games with yourself. It's all very illogical. It's a bit like comedy. It's like illogical, but you sort of know it's illogical. You know what I mean? Like I don't believe any of this OCD stuff's real. It's just the way I'm coping with it. It's just bullshit, really.
Yeah.
But if I believed it, then there's something seriously wrong with me. But I don't actually believe it. I just
Yeah, the logical part of your brain knows, but then that doesn't stop the other part of your brain making
that's,
making noise.
you've got coping mechanisms with OCD, and so, that's all these things are. But it's fucking stupid. I've recovered greatly though. I used to be really insane, but now I'm about 90% better. Actually, I just challenged it. I just one day I thought, this is fucking stupid, and I just grabbed the food she, I prepared with a hand. I just ate it, with my fingers and didn't give two fucks about it, and that sort of cured me in a way. I confronted it.
That's yeah, that's I suppose that's you know at a certain point, if you want to get past something, sometimes that is especially if the logical part of your brain knows that
Yeah,
it's knows that you're not being rational.
yeah,
It's not a rational fear.
yeah.
It's built up. Then sometimes, just gritting your teeth and confronting stuff like that can probably work. So, I don't
It,
know.
it's it's like pulling the plaster off a wound. You know what I mean? Which I've done recently, but it fucking hurt. But I mean, it's more the fear of it than the actual thing. And then when you overcome it, when you've done it, you go, well, that was easy. You know what I mean? And then you move into other areas and you do the same thing there. You got to have to confront it instead of running away, and you make things much worse that way. So I'm not a psychologist or a therapist, but it's fairly simple in some ways. So you know,
Well, you're finding what works for you rather than, as
yeah,
opposed to a psychologist. So they're looking for stuff that can work for a whole bunch of people. You can do your experiments on you
yeah.
and bear the fruit.
Well, someone might be listening to this now and go, "Oh, that sounds like a good idea," and they do it, and they go totally insane as a consequence of
Oh,
me relaying
let's
my
hope not.
experience.
We're just
Yeah,
let's just qualify. Trevor is not a qualified therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist,
no, that's
um,
right. All
but he'll
home.
give it a crack.
Yeah, yeah. Try it.
How did you go with your like germophobia and all that sort of stuff? Because you had like you were in Thailand when you had a pretty big health like
Yeah,
episode a few years back.
I had a stroke in Thailand, and it's then that made me forget everything else. It's funny when you get one thing that's really serious, it makes you forget all the trivial things.
Mm.
So, in some ways, when I had the stroke, even though it's a shocking thing to fucking have, it distracts you from everything else. So all my other problems dissolved, and in some ways, I was a lot happier when I had the stroke because I just had one thing to focus on. You know, um, and then when you start to recover from the stroke, then the other things do creep back a little bit. So you don't have the major distraction that you had. So that's
How
just
are you with all that now? You like because you like in terms of people that have had stroke, you're back. You're in the gym. You're running. You're
yeah,
well,
yeah. I've
not
got
always great, but you're running.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've sort of, I've got some things you don't quite recover. They tell you go, oh, making a recovery, but you don't fully recover because you've had a major trauma to your brain. Like it's like being shot in the head, basically, because you've had brain matter destroyed. So it's like I was shot in the head by a very small bullet, but the very tiny
Wow.
bullet. But the damage is there, you know what I mean? And you recover really quickly. Like for 6 months, I couldn't walk at one point, couldn't stand up, and I went from that to walking. So you get a lot of change and recovery very quickly. Then it tends to plateau, and then then you only get small improvements. And then at the moment, I'm pretty good. I don't have the same. I've got still some numbness in my right arm, and my elbow's a bit unstable. And then I think when I'm walking, I feel a little bit pissed. Not fall about drunk. You wouldn't know that if you looked at me. You
Yeah,
think
yeah.
totally normal, but it's a bit like being in the pilot in a cockpit. You'd see the plane, it looks normal, but the pilot's in there going, "Fuck, it's a bit shaky today." So that's what having a stroke's like. I look totally normal. I'm 100% functional. But if you're in the cockpit with me, you go, "Oh no, there are a few things fucking."
Yeah. So you look like like bit like the duck on the water. Outwardly, it looks all
Yeah,
calm, but underneath you're concentrating hard to keep the balance and all that
yeah,
sort of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. That's right. I surprised myself. I can run upstairs, and I'm very slow coming downstairs. That's the tricky thing is coming down. Going up, I'm fine. I run upstairs, but I don't. I have to be careful coming down the steps. But and the thing I still do my martial arts and that quite well, but there's just certain. I don't feel bouncy. When you run, you sort of bounce. You got to bounce. I'm saying,
Yeah.
like when I run at a certain pace, it's like a bag of spanners. You know what I mean? I've got no coordination. It feels very clunky. But if I run a bit quicker, I get sort of a rhythm going, and then it feels quite normal. But if I decide to jog at a slow pace, it feels really bad. Actually, I feel, as I said, it feels very clunky, like you've got no shockers, basically.
Far out. Mate,
Yeah,
wow. That's so mate, let's talk comedy because
yeah,
that's how you and I met. Mate,
yeah,
first off, you say you're semi-retired, but I don't say, are you still riding?
yeah. No, but I need to be motivated. I need to work to get motivated. Yeah, I went through a run of gigs a while back, and I was so motivated and loving it. I started thinking comedy and writing, and when I'm not working, I've done a gig now for about 6 weeks. Then you get out of the mode, and if I think of something, I'll write it down. But I don't have the motive. If I'm not working, I'm not motivated. You know.
What is your process with writing? Because you talk to me. I think you're very um, complimentary of my comedy as generic comedy, as
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
call it, my generic comedy. How do you
yeah.
define your comedy then?
My comedy is I sort of tend to make things up from nothing. So I suppose your comedy being generic is like you see something and then you tell a story about it, or you recount what's already happened. You know what I mean? You just
Mm.
you're reflecting on what's happened. Whereas I tend to just think of, probably a bit more abstractly, where I go, oh, that's something will click in my head, some concept, and I'll sort of build a joke from that. Sort of. So, but as a result, you've got lots of material. The trouble with the way I do it, I don't get much material. It's very succinct. And
Mm.
I'll write a joke the last 15 seconds, if that, and a lot of thought's gone into it. Whereas if you're telling stories, you can tell a story that lasts 4 or 5 minutes. So, and if you perform it well, and you embroider it with, funny observations, you can work really well. You could probably write an hour and a half a year or something like that, with your style.
Generic style.
Yeah.
I love. I was telling Carl Donnelly. I was working
Oh,
with
no,
him
yeah, yeah,
recently, and I was telling him how you always talk about my generic comedy,
yeah. Oh,
and he thought that was fantastic.
yeah.
So you so when you but you're so do you have much of your stuff recorded? Because I was
Yeah,
thinking about this the other day. Is your joke, because you are so succinct, they're almost perfect for the modern, your TikToks and Instagrams. I'm not saying that's
yeah,
necessarily your style, but I
yeah.
I feel like, your style of writing is almost tailor made for some of those formats.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of, because I did so much television, I've got old tapes, beta tapes. I don't know whether they're any good anymore, actually, fucking 20 years old. When I was doing Hey Hey in the midday show, they sent me tapes of every show.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know whether tapes wear out or, fucking whatever. Probably need to get them put on something more up to date.
Yeah,
Um,
mate, get them digitized because I mean, if nothing else, like you can put them up somewhere and just have them for,
yeah,
that they're out there forever then. So,
yeah. I remember all the jokes. I don't forget jokes. It's funny. I've got jokes 20. I've got a Siamese twin joke that I saw on midday show, which is fucking decades. But I still pretty much remember it. And years ago, Gary Eck, he came to me
mm,
and he said he went to a writing seminar. I used to have this fucking Siamese twin joke was just a silly joke I thought of about. Yeah, I was born. There was me and my brother, and he was much different than me. He was like, he was always in trouble, and I was very well behaved. But because he was in trouble, like he'd get sent to his room, and I'd have to go as well. And then he got sent to a juvenile remand centre, and I had to go as well. All this sort of shit. And then he bought a motorbike, and I had to run alongside to do it. Well, there's all this silly shit. Then I said the most embarrassing thing was when it came to sex. This is when we're teenagers, because my brother was heavily into masturbation, and we were joined at the wrist. That was because I did it on midday show. They loved it on the midday show,
the
but
midday show.
yeah, yeah,
Is,
I got away
is
with
this
it.
Ray Martin midday show or is
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah, Ray Martin. Yeah, yeah.
wow?
I brought the house down. I fucking really did well. Yeah,
That's that's amazing because like that's the kind of thing that I like. I don't think you could do that on. Oh, maybe you could, but like you wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't have thought on daytime television now on any of
yeah,
those shows. The fact that even like it's funny how you always think that you always look at the past as though that was in a lot of ways more conservative, but that like oh, if you're still there, Trev.
yeah, absolutely. Yep, yep.
Yeah, beautiful. That like yeah, you look at the past as being more conservative, but there's stuff like that that yeah, I don't know that that'd go
Yeah.
anywhere now.
Well, the funny thing was, Gary Eck, a comedy mate, he went to a writing seminar. These two American writers who'd written sitcoms and movies and shit like that. They they were having a talk afterwards, and Gary told them my Siamese twin joke, and they really liked it. They really liked my Siamese twin joke. And then sometime later, a movie came out with some well-known actor, not Ben Affleck, is the other one. It
Matt
was about
Damon.
Matt Damon. It was a
Oh,
Siamese.
and Greg Kinnear.
Yeah, yeah. It was my joke. It was basically my joke made into a movie. right? Now, I'm not saying they stole it. Maybe it was parallel thinking, but the bloke that heard Gary talk, heard my joke. He was one of the writers on the movie, so fucking, I'm not sure if it's a coincidence. But they made the mistake of, see, my joke about the Siamese twin is good for about half a minute or 45 seconds. Because then it becomes overkill. You know what I mean? You sort of, it's a one-trick pony, basically. It's funny, but only for you can't make a movie out of it. It's the same fucking joke for an hour and a half.
Well, I think too that one of the things with stand up is, and the way you tell that joke or the way you tell the whole thing is, people picture it in their mind, and
Yeah,
what they're picturing is often the funniest version of what it looks like for them.
yeah, an edited version. Yeah, that's right. You know,
So they're not, yeah. So when you're actually then making that into a movie where you're acting it out, like that's, I don't know. Like I think there's a lot to be said for that style of writing, and you're quite good at it. Ray Badrin's good at it too, where you just
yeah,
give enough information where the audience sort of
yeah,
write the funniest version of what's going on in their head.
yeah. If you try and recreate it physically, you fucking can't do it. You know what I mean? You just can't get the same image that you got in your head.
Yeah,
So someone said to me once, "How come you do no physical movements on stage?" I said, "Well, if the joke's good enough, you don't need it because I make you do the physical movements in your head, so there's no need for me to embellish it." So he went, "Oh,
mm.
that seems
you're
to
all
make sense."
you're also pretty lazy.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am exceptionally. I'm only a workaholic when it comes to doing things I love doing. So I'm not really e- 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 everything else. I'm bone idle, fucking bone idle. It's
Oh,
too late to change now. Fucking, it's
so how many times did you do the midday show, you reckon?
I did it 13 times.
Oh, wow. And
Yeah,
how long were those sets?
4 minutes. Usually 4 minutes.
Wow. That's so, because I also working with you, and I mean, for context, that bit you were saying that went on air, like, because your stuff's pretty clean, but I don't think of you as a clean comic. But that's a lot of clean material that's TV.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, what I did was I had my entire act, and I went on the midday show pretty early. Actually, I think maybe within a year I did it once, but I was really motivated to write, so I wrote quite a bit of stuff, and I got like all material, probably 45 minutes of stuff, and I divided it up into like 4 minute blocks. So they used to call me on the day. I'd no preparation. If they had a spare because Ray Martin liked me, if they had spare 4 minutes, they go and call Trevor up and see if he wants to do it. So I had my entire act divided up into 4 minute, spots. And when they called me, on the morning of the show, actually, they called me about 9 o'clock. And I'd go, yeah, I'll do it, because I had the material there ready to go. And they picked me up in a chauffeur-driven car, and then I'd do the show.
Blo- Bloody hell! That was when TV, yeah, was like, that was the sort of thing they'd send the driver back when it was a
Yeah,
real big deal.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was like you were a celebrity. I mean, I never got to be world famous, but I mean, people recognised me at the station, and they'd run up to me and say, "What are you fucking doing here, mate?" At Wiley Park Station. I said, "What do you mean?" Well, you're a fucking midday show, mate. You're a bit of a star. How come you're not fucking, hobnobbing at the North Shore? I said, "Mate, I get $300 for that fucking on the fucking toll." You know, like I live in Wiley Park. It's a fucking shithole. It's just the way it is.
How was that explaining it? Because I mean, obviously on the dole you're supposed to be looking for work. Did
Yeah.
you ever have to explain to your case manager, like, who's
Well,
seen you on the?
yeah, I did. I walked into Centrelink in Campsie, I think it was. And as soon as I walked in, the bloke said the midday show, bloke behind the counter. So, I said, yeah, but I'm making phone call, mate. It's just peanuts. Oh, don't worry, it's all right. They didn't worry about it.
that's 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 fascinating. That you were 13 times is that's an incredible amount of, like,
Yeah,
and for someone who considers themselves lazy,
yeah.
yeah, that's a lot of preparation.
Yeah, I'm not lazy when it comes to something I love, and I was like really fired up. And I did get banned from the midday show for about five or
Oh,
six
you're
weeks. But
there.
I did a religious joke about Holy Communion, and It was about Holy Communion when when you put the biscuit in your mouth and that sort of shit.
Oh, mate, you've dropped out there. I'm going to get you to start that Holy
Oh, okay.
Communion story again.
Yeah, I can't see you anyway, Andrew. Does it matter? Or
Nah, that'll be right.
okay.
Go with your Holy Communion story.
Yeah, I was on the midday show. I decided to do a religious joke. I had a Holy Communion joke about when you went to Holy Communion, they put this like cracker in your mouth, basically like a biscuit. And I
Mm,
went on about they have savoury or sweet made and they give you a drink of red wine, and it was fucking great. And I used
mm.
to go on church crawls with my mates and all this kind of stuff. It's quite funny. The audience loved it. The audience loved it. And Ray Martin was pissing himself. But I looked down at the floor. The floor bloke. He does the camera work, and he was kneeling beside the camera. I don't know what they call those. The floor manager, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, floor manager.
So he's shaking his head, as I'm going, and I'm thinking, fuck, he's loving it. And he's going, oh, fuck, Trev's so funny today. But he was going, oh, no, what a fucking disaster this is. And we're going to have so many complaints. And I got all these complaints. Darren Hinch had the highest number of complaints in history of the history of Channel 9 about interviewing a kidnapper or something. And I was second. I got the second number of complaints in Channel 9's history for that joke.
And I think like the demographics are against you there because the people that are at home watching the midday show are
Yeah.
also that's your letter writing demographic.
Yeah, they say, oh, he'd be hung if he was in Iran and all this sort of shit. You're going to burn in hell, and such sins can never be forgiven. I go, fuck it. That was my joke. Fucking hell.
Mate, you're gonna burn in hell, but phew, that's the least of the reasons.
Yeah, won't go into details. Julie's in the other room. She fucking up
Mate,
on.
you're in so that was live TV.
Yeah. That was everything was live back then. So,
How did you were you nervous?
yeah, you're naturally nervous, but cause when you get to the midday show, what I used to do, and this was like a good technique by me, I'd say to the floor manager, can I talk to the audience before I go on? Can I chat to the crowd? They get to know me, and like when I come back after the break, I've got a connection with them already by talking to them.
Mm.
And I come out, oh, Trev's back, and they just do my act. So that eased me up a little bit. Sometimes I was completely relaxed, you know what I mean? But initially I was, it's a tense situation because you can't, if you fuck up, it's no taking it back. It's live, which added to the electricity of it, added to the energy. It's exciting to do it, So and the band, the band loved me. When you make the band laugh,
Yeah,
that means you're being funny. The band like me, Jeff Harvey, and all the band members were all pissing themselves. So yeah.
that's like so. What years are we talking? These 13
Oh, this was a
appearances.
19. I started doing comedy in '91, I think, and then I won this Australian Comic of the Year in '92, I think, or '91. Can't remember, but I did my first TV spot after 7 months. I did the Steve Vizard show, the Tonight Show. I did that. And then from that, I went to the midday shows. You're talking 1992, maybe.
Wow, and Hey as well.
Yeah, I did Hey Hey, because they both Channel 9, so they liked me on Hey Hey and on midday, and that led to me doing Hey Hey, which I did about 6 times, so.
Bloody hell! And so, could you do like because obviously different audiences to a degree. Would
Yeah.
you ever do the same material on like Hey that you'd done on the midday show, or was it completely new again?
Oh no, I do some things because midday shows are different demographic, and then Hey Hey is different again, and
Mm.
Tonight Live is they're different. So I do, but I always had some professional pride that I can't do the exact same fucking act. You know what I mean? So I would have some changes, maybe sometimes minor changes, but yeah, I say sometimes I do maybe 80% the same, 90% the same, but I always try to have at least a couple of jokes done on the other shows. You know.
Mate, we got to get these tapes digitized. We got to get them up on the internet. I need to see all this, and I think like that. It's also just a throwback to like it's a
Yeah.
time that doesn't sort of like it. That's a world that doesn't really exist in the same way anymore.
No, that's right. It's gone. It's conservative now in a different way. Back then it was. conservative, but at the same time, these ways, it's like you've got a lot. I mean, it's very puritanical these days. You know what I mean? It's like political. Whereas back then, you just offend people, but in a very quite a superficial way. But these
Mm.
days, people get offended ideologically because everything's political these days, no matter what it is. It's the woke people, Trump, but it's very emotive.
Yeah. Well,
And
everything's.
back then, it wasn't. Yeah.
I think, yeah, like both sides of everything is just so. I think I got a bit of an issue with any like. I feel like sometimes having a really strong ideology is just it's almost like a shortcut for having to, so you don't have to think about an issue.
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, years ago, I thought, no, thinking ideologically isn't the best way to think. And I thought, now these days, I'm not ideological. Some ideas would I consider years ago very right wing, but I agree with them now. But I go on the idea. I go on the is it a good idea or not? But I don't care right wing, left wing. It's all meaningless bullshit. I mean, I just go on the idea. Like the right, even Trump supporters, I agree with them on some things, and I disagree with others. And then the woke fuckwits, I agree with them on some things and disagree with them on others. I'm not that ideological. Uh,
No, well, I think that's the way it's supposed to be. I don't think we're. I don't know. I get very frustrated with all that sort of stuff. But I'm very suspicious of anyone who thinks they have the answer for stuff.
Yeah, it's all historically. If you go, we've been through this shit before. You can go back to the Weimar Republic and these wokesters. I think they're inventing something new. Whereas in fact, if you go back to the fall of the Roman Empire, this has been done before. It's nothing new at all. It's fucking centuries old. The
Mm.
gender issues and all this stuff. It's and Puritanism and all the things the wokesters think is brand new and progressive. It isn't. A lot of it's fucking ancient. You know. It's just a cycle. History is full of cycles. It comes back again. You know what I mean? It's
You
all,
are you actually you so did you, like, education wise, do you have any education in history, or is that just a sort of a hobby of yours? Because a lot
no,
of
I
your
don't,
material
yeah,
is leans on that, and you've obviously read a bit of philosophy based
yeah.
on some of your gear.
I went through a reading phase of years ago. I went completely off my head. I suppose you'd have to say I had some kind of fucking nervous breakdown, and I just locked myself in my caravan. 'Cause I was living at my parents' place, but I was living in a caravan. They wanted me out of the fucking house, but not all the way out. They let me live in the driveway in a caravan. One of those old 50s caravans. But so I went a bit mad. So I was I joined. I think it was the Atheist Foundation. I got sick of all these religious fuckers, and then I joined the Atheist Foundation, and that sort of got me reading a lot. You know what I mean? Like about philosophy and existence and fucking God and all that kind of stuff. So I read every day. I was reading a book. You know what I mean? I was really reading fucking thick books. It means they're intelligent reading if they're thick. So I was reading a lot of thick books, and that's all I did for quite a few years. I'm not sure how long. I probably read like that for a period of maybe 7 or 8 years about all kinds of topics. So I got very well educated, in some areas, philosophy and things like that. When I started doing comedy, I had a lot of stuff to draw on.
Yeah, that's so. This is pre-comedy, obviously. Then.
Yeah, yeah, pretty comedy. I mean, trouble is, I do stuff that some people don't know anything about. So I do jokes about Buddhism, and people don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So it's like an acquired taste. Maybe a minority of people in the audience.
Yeah, I feel like you're pretty good though at because you're not scared of a sort of a higher order topic in terms of, yeah, something fairly niche, but you do a pretty good job of making it accessible.
Yeah, I do. I think I've got a pretty good Buddhist joke about doing a gig in a Buddhist comedy club, and and the Buddhist the Buddhist after the show was fucked anyway. It went really badly. And after the show, the head monk came up to you and said, "Trevor, the honeybee visits the blossom many times, but its reward is not the nectar, but the journey itself." So very like Buddhist type flowery language. But I thought I had to bring it down to a common level, and I said, "Oh, that's great, but what does it mean?" And he said, "It means you're not getting paid." So I sort of so I took something intellectual, but I brought it down to a basic level. Well, it's all about me not getting paid. So if I ever go off at some Buddhist tangent, no one will fucking get it. It'll be too contrived, and people won't find it that funny. So
Yeah. Well, also too, you got to I think, and I think sometimes too, like I don't enjoy comedians who are being clever for clever's sake. Like, do you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think cleverness is all right, but I mean, it's easy to be clever. It's harder to be funny. I mean, it's sort of there's a lot of clever people around. There's fucking everywhere. Probably,
Yeah.
people you personally know are a lot cleverer than you. But
And how?
okay, fuck it, yeah, but you can make something funny and they can't. So fucking, it's so it's okay to be clever within reason, but it's not the only thing. It's
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't, and I probably didn't word that correctly. I'm more mean. Like, it's like you're very good at making like some big. It, you've obviously much much more well read on some of these issues than most of the audience are,
oh
but
yeah.
it's not coming from a position where it's like it sounds like, oh, look what I know that you don't.
Yeah, that's right. I just try to make it funny, and because I'm interested in some of that stuff, I go, well, how can I make something I'm interested in funny? So I got quite philosophical at one point. I was really into Buddhism. I thought, well, it's got really good subject matter in it. Buddhism, a lot of, I wouldn't say silly stuff, but I mean like the sound of one hand clapping, and all this sort of existential stuff about life generally. I thought it's really fruitful for comedy. But not many people are going to get it because who the fuck knows that much about Buddhism unless you're a Buddhist. So,
Yeah, and evidently they didn't like you because you didn't get paid.
yeah, that's right. They took a vow of they took a vow of silence.
Like the other one, because yeah, you've got a couple of good ancient Greek jokes too.
Yeah, that's right. So I went to see Troy. You know that movie about
Oh yeah.
Brad Pitt, and so I thought about Achilles being fucking shot in the heel. That was his main weakness.
Mm.
Yeah, he got shot by I think an arrow got shot him in the back of the leg, and he fucking died or something. And well, I just thought, suppose he got shot somewhere else. It could be quite funny. So I said about his parents may sound like good parents, but I mean, naming him after his main weakness wasn't a very good idea. You know what I mean? So they knew where to shoot him. And I said his brother Testicles died a horrible death. Right? That was so that's how I got that was from watching that fucking movie with Brad Pitt and Eric
I
Clapton. Yeah.
They would have loved that on the midday show.
Yeah, they would have. I saw that
Well,
movie in Manchester. I remember it now. Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
So are you still doing like? Did you were up in Edinburgh? Are you still doing shows up there? Because I remember the
Yeah.
first time I saw you it was I came along to your Melbourne comedy festival show many years
Yeah.
ago now.
Yeah. I go up there and do guest spots. I do get invited while I'm up there to do guest spots for other comedians. So I
So
just do that. You know. See, the festivals don't lend themselves to stand up. You know what I mean?
mm,
Now, festivals lend themselves to storytelling, basically. Narrative stuff.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of an hour because it's that's the format. An hour show is
Yeah.
if you just hit them with punchline after punchline after punchline,
Yeah.
that you need to vary the pace, I suppose, because that can get the audience just naturally get tired. You can only laugh out loud very hard, like
Yeah.
at that rate for so long before it's diminishing returns.
But also, what that encourages people who can't do either. Like anyone can tell a joke, tell a story down the pub, like an anecdote. You know what I mean? Like anyone can fucking do that. What festivals do, they encourage people who've got nothing to say but an anecdote they heard down the pub or something. Yeah, that's what it is, really. And so I'm a great fan of really good narrative shows like that are written beautifully and a great storytelling. I like all that stuff. But and then you got your stand up comedy, which is like just fun, basically funny and
Yeah,
gag uh, gag ridden. But a lot of people can't do either. They're not don't can't write a fucking joke to save their lives. And when they do a show, it's a narrative about something that's not that interesting. It's just a narrative about, I worked on a fucking sheep farm. Although you can make anything interesting if you're a good storyteller, admittedly.
Mm.
But so festivals are full of shit. Basically, you get like 10 or 15 shows that are great. Narrative shows usually. You know what I mean? They're really good,
Yeah.
and then you get a lot of chaff. And so when you go to a festival, you have to siphon through the chaff, and to get to the good stuff. So best you go with a recommendation to see something. If you go from one show to the next, you just find yourself worn out by the shit you've got to hear. Basically.
Well, and that is the hard thing with it. Like, it's the double-edged sword of the accessibility of the art form in terms of,
Yeah,
like you do at a big festival like Edinburgh or Melbourne or whatever. Like, if you're like a local artist who can find a venue and wants to put something on, well, then the barrier to entry is pretty low. But that also means some people who probably aren't quite ready to be doing a full hour of anything can put their
yeah.
show on.
I mean, I did my podcast, babysitting Trevor, which
Mm.
won awards and all kind of shit. It was like, but that was just me telling stories. So I mean, I was basically doing an Edinburgh show. Every episode was like me talking, telling stories, and being quite humorous. A lot of that was like Edinburgh show. So I've done the Edinburgh show type format. But I just like writing jokes. I've always been fascinated by joke writing. To me, that's if I do an Edinburgh show based on storytelling, I don't really consider it material. Whereas when I write a good gag, to me that's material, and that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in material as opposed to
Mm.
a story. No,
But I'm just thinking you had some good stories in that show I saw, but that was heavily stand up as well.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I think I had a few reviewers coming in. I was only doing the one show a week, so if I got a review, I knew it was all the critics were in for that one show.
Yeah.
So it was like funny how they interpreted my performance because one bloke, Steve, the bloke who writes for Chortle,
Oh, Bennett.
Steve Bennett, he gave me a sort of lukewarm type. He doesn't get me at all. He doesn't get my comedy. So I go, well, we're not on the same wavelength. So he gave me not bad, lukewarm, but then someone else gave me a great review for it, and they were seeing the same show. So it just shows you how people are different in their judgments on things, how they analyse differently, and one critic related to it, and the other one didn't.
Yeah, I have this thing where it's so subjective comedy, like
Yeah,
in terms of just what people find funny. You've got to
yeah,
sort of,
yeah.
there's not a universally shared sense of humor.
No, that's right. And I think also the venues at some of the festivals. I've done venues at Adelaide that were like really hot. I was doing a shop. It was a shop front, but like a fucking shop, right? So no air conditioning, board floors. Oh, it was so hot, like 110, over 100 degrees in the day, and at night time, and there was like we had water for the audience. It was warm water, so I had 7 people in, stinkingly hot, and then there was a show next door that started an opera. An opera started next fucking door. It's 5 minutes into my act, and the next minute I've got this, some operatic shit. I mean, and what I mean, it was impossible. It was impossible to do a show, especially with my style, which requires timing, and then you got all this fucking noise coming through, which affects the timing and delivery, and it's hot, and people are falling asleep, and
Well,
it's a fucking
it's not just timing that is your stuff is quite a lot of, like, it requires a bit of listening because there's some
yeah, it does,
subtlety to it.
yeah. And if it's a hot day and you're tired, you're not really listening in the same
Mm.
way. And then it was just a fucking. I got a 2-star review, and I go, well, the writer didn't take into account all the conditions I had to put up with. The opera, the heat. What I mean, small number of people, and I'm quite a verbal, intimate comic. I mean, everything was against me. So to give me a 2-star review, I thought this woman knows fuck all about comedy.
That
And it was,
that is that is the difficult thing because comedy seems so basic in terms of what you actually need, but you do need a few things in your favor for it to work.
oh yeah,
And
yeah,
like I remember last year I did did a set at a function for the NRL Grand Final at the
Yeah.
game.
Oh, really? Fine.
Yeah. So I got to do that, but it was like one of those things where the people are eating, they're on like at tables, and having the meal before the game,
Yeah.
and they've been watching different panels with ex players and that sort of stuff. But big long room that's I forget how many people, maybe like big long function room, a lot of people,
Yeah.
a lot of noise, a lot of distraction, and but I took my son because I got 2 tickets to the grand final as part of it. So I took my son with me, and I had to explain to him, listen, this like this isn't in my favor. Like, don't have any expectation this is going to go well,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because and it went fine. It went fine. It went as well as those sort of things go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's just like, when there's could pass the bottle of wine, or there's just the amount
Yeah.
of ambient noise and ambient distractions.
Oh, yeah. Just totally fun. The people were going, "Who the fuck's that up there?" He's like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
exactly.
he's that generic comedy from a generic comedian from the cricket show."
Oh, mate, that's yeah. Well, people love generic comedy at these things, mate. That's the
Yeah. 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 I mean, I think there's like I suppose situations. Well, I've done mediocre, and someone else with a different style is killed, and and sometimes the other way around, and it's quite. You know what I mean? The situations are different each time.
that's the thing too. Is there is like styles make fights, they say in the boxing game. So it's similar sometimes with the audience and the comedian. Like you
Yeah.
know, certain styles of gigs suit certain styles of act a bit
I
more.
this I did this terrible gig, for rugby league players. It was in Sydney somewhere. I forget. Fucking not far from Lakemba actually. But anyway, the bloke who runs it, he's a nice bloke, but he knows fuck all about comedy. So I get there, and he's, "Oh, mate, it's great. There's no women at the gig." I said, "Well, that's no fucking good. You know what I mean? You want a balance. Men
Mm.
on their own. Those sorts of gigs are fucking terrible usually." And so anyway, I get there and there's no microphone stand. Oh no, I forgot about the mic. Fuck, I forgot the microphone stand. And don't worry, Trev, they'll love you, mate. It's I'll go up first, do a bit of ad libbing. I'll get them warmed up for you, and then you go up there, they'll fucking love you. Just do your stuff. And there's all these Canterbury, former players there like Terry
Mm.
Lamb and shit like that.
Oh yeah.
So he goes up, dies in his fucking ass, dies like a fucking dog. You know what I mean? And then he gets me up there, and don't know who the fuck I am, and I'm holding the mic. I sat down to do it. I thought, well, fuck it, don't want to stand up. Still recovering from a fucking stroke. I don't want to stand up for an hour. So and then I'm taking the piss out of Terry Lamb, and they're all wrecks. All these former rugby players, they were really fit when they had a reason to exercise. They're top notch athletes. Then their careers finished, and they hit the piss, and they eat like pigs, and they're all the food that this do was disgusting, fried muck, and fuck knows what else. And I looked around the room and said, well, I can see who won't be here for next year's show. Insinuating, looking around the room, I can see who won't be here for next year's show. And then I tried to make a few rugby league jokes, which I don't know that much about rugby. I had one about the Canberra Raiders supporters that they won fuck all, mate. They're named after the Vikings. They go on these fucking raids like the Vikings did, but they always come back with fuck all. You know what I mean? And then I said I used to play for the what was it, the Bankstown Vegans. I was a front rower for the fucking Bankstown Vegans. Anyway, I go nothing. No one's laughing. You know what I mean? No, I go fuck. But after about 10 minutes, they sort of I took the piss out of Terry Lamb, and he sort of he laughed a little bit, and then I got into it, and I didn't give a fuck. The gig's that bad, I don't care. Then they started to like me, and I did pretty well the last 15 minutes. Yeah, I did quite well, but yeah. People who don't know comedy fucking arranging something like that. He's a nice bloke, but knows fuck all about
Well,
comedy.
especially you with the like you need a mic stand because you don't really take the mic out of the mic stand,
Yeah, that's right.
and
Yeah.
I've seen you work with a handheld mic. You are horrendous at holding it close to your mouth where people can hear
Yeah,
you. You get
that's
the
right.
drift.
Yeah, no, they'll do. Julie said that all the time. No one heard you. I mean, oh, right. Fuck,
No one heard you. Did she ever go luckily under her breath after she says that?
No, she knows I'm a genius, but she real. I've got my technical faults, just technical faults.
Oh, fair enough. Hey, mate, we're about at time for this. Is there anything? First off, I need you to. And if I have to talk to Julia, I will about this.
Yeah,
We need to get those tapes digitized. We need to get them up on the internet somewhere where people can find them.
they're all in the Kemba.
Mate, I'll go around and pick them up.
Oh, okay. Oh, right.
We
They're in these two. Oh, fuck! You'd have to. I've got all kind of tapes. Or sort of. They're in a. I might have some of them labelled. I don't know. It's the old beta form. The old beta tapes.
Yep. We need to get these digitized, mate, because I think
Really?
the amount of this stuff that could go on the internet and mate, just solid jokes from
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
the other thing about your jokes is it's not really so much of it's not really about it's not dating because it's the
No.
universal sort of themes.
When I was on Hey Hey Saturday, I made a joke that I made up on the spot actually, which is quite brave of me. But I said, and this is true actually. I said, I used to do the midday show, and that got cancelled. I did Tonight Live with Steve Weissard, and that got cancelled. I'm doing Hey Hey Saturday. I think this the second to last show. I really hope I get to do Good News Week soon. That was the joke I did, right? So, anyway, they loved it. You know what I mean? I could still hear John Blackmore. Is it John? He's
John
the back.
Blackman.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
pissing us off. Yeah, he asked me for some jokes actually, because I had another joke about I've been married. 10 years, 10 of the happiest years of my life, which gives you some idea how fucking miserable the other 38 have been, or something like that. He really liked it. He said he was writing a book with jokes in it. Could he borrow it? So I said, yeah, why not? Fucking so,
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate. We need to get those tapes up. But is there anywhere people can go and find your stuff or find out where you're going to be playing, and then when are you coming home?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you some of my a couple of Hey Hey Saturdays of me were up online, and some English fans saw it and thought they were really good. So I don't know if you Google Trevor Crook Hey Hey Saturday, you might get one or two clips of me doing Hey Hey.
Mate, well, don't worry. You know what? This is going to be a new little assignment for us. We're going to get those digitized. We're going to get you.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you on Instagram or any of that sort of stuff?
No, I'm not. I was on Facebook. I was just argued with people for the whole fucking time. So I thought, no, this is a bit toxic in my life. So
Mate,
no, no, they can use. Listen to my, babysitting Trevor the podcast. That's still going. We're not doing it
yep.
anymore, but it's still up there. The episodes you can listen to.
Mate, I can't recommend that highly enough either. That's a very entertaining podcast.
Yeah, I was on a cult. I was in it was almost a cult at one point. A few
Yeah,
years.
it
And,
was fantastic. So, mate, I will get you back because there's heaps more to talk about. But
yeah,
that's our next project. We're getting we're getting those sets digitized, and we're going to get
yeah.
it. I will make an Instagram account for you that we'll put these up on and
All right. Okay.
get
All
them
right.
out there in the world.
All right.
But
So
yes,
yeah, I tell you because you said to me you'd get like a bit of a mourning period after the Ashes. When the Ashes finish and last
mm,
test, you feel a bit down. And I just remember a couple of months ago, I was telling Julia, "Fuck me, look what's coming up." There's 5 Test matches, but Pom's playing India, then we're playing the West Indies and Pakistan, then over New Zealand for some more tests. It's fucking and all these tests lined up. Like 11 tests. It's going to be fucking great. You know what I mean? Because I love my Test matches more than anything.
yeah, same.
Uh, and now it's all coming to an end. You know what I mean? The Poms have got one game left. We've got one game left. No fucking Test matches till in
Who have
England
the Poms got in England over the summer?
we're playing. I think it's Sri Lanka.
Okay.
I'll still watch it, but they're not particularly weak, aren't they? Sri Lanka, fuck. But that's the next test, I think, and I think that's in June or July. So it's a long way off for the next test, isn't it? So
Yeah,
we've got the
there's a bit
World
of
Cup, 2020. That's not the same as it's not the same as the test, but
yeah. Mate, it's something that's out there. But I think we've got India at the end of the year, so that
in
should
10 months,
be
for in 10 months, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah. There's a
Ah,
long winter to
no,
come
it
over here
is.
first.
Yeah, I'm coming back. I don't know. I do. I'm quite happy and settled. And then I talk to you, and then I'm watching an Australian a show at the moment, like a travel show based. And they're doing Sydney, and I'm going, oh yeah, I feel get a bit homesick. I can't stay here forever. I will have to come back at some point. It's I do. Yeah, I wish Australia was like 5 hours away or something instead of 22.
Yeah, it is a long way. It is a long way away.
Yeah,
But
I'm
mate, you'll
getting.
have to bring Julia with you this time.
Yeah, no, yeah. We won't travel because of the lockdown. We're a bit paranoid about another lockdown. We can't see each other again for 2 years, and well, where I go, Julia goes now, so she'll definitely come with me. So
Mate, and then you and I will go get a nice feed at that Chinese restaurant at Bankstown that we go to.
yeah. Fuck. So I get all these things. I get a bit of a tear comes my way. I think, oh fuck. Remember that lunch with Andrew and get all the
Mate,
most.
every time I see a prawn dumpling, I think of you.
Yeah, well, every time I see a generic comedian, I can think of you. I just think we're near as good as Andrew. Fuck it, he's fucking master, mate.
Oh, mate, thanks so much for doing this. I'm gonna thanks so much for
Yeah.
doing the pod.